Welcome back to another episode of the Braun Performance and Rehab Podcast, powered by ISOFIT and Firefly Recovery. ISOFIT is my go-to for all things isometric strength training. For more on ISOFIT, be sure to check out ISO. Episodes like this are made possible by Firefly, the official recovery provider of the Braun Performance and Rehab Podcast. For more on Firefly, be sure to check out recoveryfirefly.com. This episode is powered by Dr. Ray Gorman, founder of Engage Movement. Learn how to boost your income without relying on sessions. Get a free training on the blended practice model by following at Ray Gorman DPT on Instagram. Jada, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to work with you today. For people who aren't familiar with you and all the amazing stuff you're doing down in the San Antonio area, especially around running that way, would you mind filling them in a bit about who you are and all the amazing things you've got going on?
Jada Malesich. I go by Jada, but I am a junior currently at UTSA, which is University of San Antonio. And I'm currently a junior. I'm a kinesiology major, and this is my third year at UTSA. And I've ran since I was little, about I want to say I started fifth grade, kind of okay, I like this. Let me start rolling with it. And yeah, I lived here my whole life, so I've never really moved out at all. Live with my dad, so I just completely staying here. So it's been really nice.
Very local to the area by the sounds. And it sounds like you kind of knew from a young age that running was the thing that you wanted to do.
Yeah, runs my aunt and uncle ran at UTSA. My dad ran. My grandpa ran. All my cousins run. I won at UIW and one at Olu. I just graduated, so just kind of been always what's gonna happen for you is that you're gonna run and you're gonna do this. So, but I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it really runs in the family, pun intended, that way. And I'm sure you get that all the time that way. But it sounds like you had this almost early family kind of role to fill that way, in the sense that everyone else in the family ran. So you were like, well, I might as well run as well.
Yeah, and it's easy too. And you have all these people have advice and people that can help work with you and have we had two of my teammates, their parents were Olympians. So and they were family friends with my cousins and my aunt and uncle. So it was a nice having all those connections and all those people to kind of jump in and help. And especially with my dad getting super invested with running, it helped me kind of learn more and more about it, because it is complicated at times.
Right. Did any of your family members ever coach you in cross country? Were they coaching your team and that sort of thing? Or
My dad sort of did on the side, but it was more so just kind of helping me with the mental part of it, of knowing how to do workouts and knowing how to trust myself in workouts. Because there's times I'd get home and I'm kind of oh, this workout went like this, and he was oh, maybe you're supposed to run like this, maybe you were running it improperly and weren't getting the best out of it. So he helped me a lot with even during summer training a lot. He would wake up with me this whole summer. He was up at 6 a.m. with me, helping me and my friend get ready for practice and do warm-ups together and all that stuff. So it was nice having him kind of forcing me to get up, even though I didn't want to always wake up at 6 a.m. to run. So that was really helpful.
and as we talked about before, I found myself kind of rather immersed in the cross country world back when I was in college that way. I was not a runner by any means. I should probably start running more that way. But for people who don't necessarily know how the sport goes, or maybe they're watching the races and it's hey, one is a 6K, one is an 8K, different stages do different things. Would you mind kind of giving a little bit of a breakdown in relation to the sport itself?
Yeah, so for cross country, so usually in high school, they do both the men and boys and girls would do 5K. But once you get into college, the girls do a 6K and the guys would do an 8K. 6K is about 3.7 miles. And I believe 8K is a little closer to 5-ish. And then once the guys get into region races, which is a more championship race, they do a 10K and the girls stay at 6K, which is kind of unfair for the guys at times. I know for them, they're kind of that's not fair that y'all get to stick 6K. And 10K is about, I believe, 6 miles-ish, or exactly 6 miles. So yeah, and usually it's a weird terrain course that they've found a plot of land for, and they mark it out and you run it. And usually there's meets where there'll be 300 girls in a line, 300 guys in a line, shoot the gun, and it all funnels in. So it gets a little bit nerve-wracking when you're starting a race. You have all these people trying to get into your spot. So yeah, it's pretty intense. Sometimes you're watching and seeing all these parents running around back and forth, trying to time their kids.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been to some races where I feel like the parents probably cover more ground and
Yep,
distance
for
than
sure.
the athletes do sometimes.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy to watch all of that. But you kind of mentioned about how, in relation to the race itself, initially everyone's on the starting line, could be hundreds of
yeah,
people, and you're just trying to get out and get into your position and hopefully,
yeah.
start the race on a good foot that way. Walk me through what kind of things have helped you make sure that you start races where you want to, on a good foot, in a good position, and so on that way, because I feel like there's probably a little bit of an art to that if I had to guess.
Yeah, there's some it's like especially in high school, there's a region course down in Corpus that was pretty like divotty. Like there's a lot of little bumps there and there. So usually we would kind of do like runouts of our usually where we're gonna start. We have like little boxes we know like where we're gonna start from. And I'll kind of run out, make sure I know kind of what things are around because there's some meets where like there's like one meet where there's like at the state course for Texas, there's a pole in the middle randomly and they put cones around it, but you can't really see until you're like right next to it that is there. So kind of like knowing what's kind of in front of me and if it's like gonna be like ugly to get through. But also for sure like getting out hard and being aware of like girls around me, especially with my teammates, okay, they're not gonna elbow me, but other girls I'm kinda like, let me kind of space my arms out a little bit more when I'm running and not letting them push me around as much because we've had cases where people fall and they get trampled on or they get shoved and kind of like messed up mid race. But yeah, I've been really trying to like throughout my years get out hard and make sure I kind of find my bubble or find spots that aren't like too crowded for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's been times where unfortunately things don't necessarily go as you want them to in relation to the start of the race that way. What kind of strategies have you implemented in order to be able to maybe, fall into that situation where it doesn't start like you want to, but you're going to end how you want to? How do you not let those little things like, oh, the start didn't go how I wanted it to get to you and kind of eat away at you for the rest of the race?
Yeah, so one thing I've been really like focusing on throughout my like running career is kind of like I used to let a lot of like the little things bother me. And like my biggest thing is like if I can't control it, I can't fix it, there's no point to worry about it. So a lot of times the races and things go wrong, kind of like, well, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with. I'm gonna figure it out. Like we've had cases like your shoe gets fall like your right shoe falls off. I can't stop and go grab it, so I might as well finish the race and not like I can't fix it in the moment, so I can't complain about it. So I've been trying to like find ways to like not get fresh about things I can't control. So there's been times I like get tripped up and I'm like, okay, cool. Or I keep getting pushed from the back at one race. And I was like, okay, like stop pushing me. Like I can't control it, so I can't get mad about it. So I kind of just learned to brush it off and keep going because how life is.
Yeah, control the controllables at the end of the
Yeah,
day. I
for
gotta ask, has the shoe falling off thing, has that happened to you quite a bit?
happens a lot. It's happened to me once, and luckily it was like towards the end of the race. But we've had cases where people lose it very beginning. Someone steps to the back of their foot, and their shoe just pops off. And like my little cousin, because we've had now at least five of us go through my high school, and we've all got to run there. And there's still like two more to come. And my little cousin, he's currently in high school, and he lost his shoe mid race, and we are like looking for it in the mud, like where's your shoe at? Like mid race, he was like, my shoe's gone, my shoe's gone. I was like, keep running, buddy. Like, you got to figure it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so funny because I feel like a lot of times people hear something like running as a sport or they hear cross country and they think, oh, yeah, you just lace up and go. When in reality, there's a few more things to it than that. And the other thing I've always been impressed by is like the amount of different shoes different runners will have.
Yeah.
Well, wear one for something, one for a different race. And they're adjusting things to like the terrain because like apparently some courses are like more hilly than others. It's not like a set uniform, like every cross country course has to be the exact same. It's all drastically different that way.
Yeah. We've had races with like some concrete. Like, I remember my freshman year for Oregon, I was like looking up the course before my coach did, and I was like, hey, there's concrete. Like, we can't wear our spikes. Like, there's large parts of concrete. So we had to wear like the Adidas, like pros, like the super shoes for that race. And that was nice because if I would have said anything, we would have a lot of slices hitting it, and there's no grip with the concrete with the spike. So there's the cases where that happens, and it's nice when there's super shoes, but there's certain clothes that are so muddy that you can't even like get into it with super shoes, hit the spikes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. in relation to the sport that way, has there been any kind of like unique challenges or obstacles that you've kind of had to face in relation to the sport, whether that's in high school or college or that sort of thing?
Yeah, so recently in outdoor track, I finished a 1500 race and I just had like a really weird, like sharp pain in my right foot. And I didn't do anything awkward in the race. I didn't have any type of like pop or anything. And I called my dad and I was like, hey, there's something wrong with my foot. And he was like, oh, you're fine. Like, just walk it off. Like, you'll be good. You'll be good. And I was like, okay. And the next day I tried doing a long run and it just like, I wasn't able to run in it at all. And I finally got like x-rays done and my sesamoid bone in my right foot, they thought it was fractured, but it's actually just naturally separated. And I somehow aggravated that and it turned into like plantar fasciitis, I can't think or whatever. But it became a foot issue for me. So it was kind of frustrating last year having that challenge of having to deal with a foot injury and trying to still get like cross training done with that because it's pretty hard to like cross train your feet and like not be in your feet all day. So that was a really big challenge for me to kind of get over that and do rehab for it constantly.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, of all the places to get injured, like you mentioned, you're kind of on your feet all day long, whether you're running or not running that way. So they can certainly be stubborn to deal with that way for sure. Is that the only injury that you've really had to like overcome in relation to running thus far?
Long term, yeah, because I've been still kind of dealing with it on and off. Like I got a steroid shot in my heel to help like they said to wake up the nerve in there and try to see if it would like kind of figure where the pull is coming from. And it's just been a constant issue that they're still kind of working on. But yeah, originally they thought it was fractured, and I was like, "There's no way this is fractured. Like, how is my little tiny bone and my big toe fractured?" So that's been like my main injury I've had, and I ended up taking a month of just doing cross training. And my previous coach was like, "Hey, let's just see how you run at conference." And I ended up not running well at all, and I was like, "Wow, like this is really like emotionally like hard to do and get over, and not like especially summer training was really hard because I was like." Dang, like, can I get back? Can I get over this pain? Am I gonna be able to like figure it out? That's been a big challenge of getting back to where I was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's something that I've found with a lot of runners. They tend to develop these different injuries, and some of them they get told are due to load or overuse or any one of these different things that gets thrown out there that way. And they can just be really annoying and difficult to deal with. And
Mm.
on one hand, I'm sure load can play into some of it, but on the other hand, I don't think that that's always the one thing that causes all of these different foot, ankle, whatever issues. And it tends to just be the scapegoat, right? It's so easy for
Mhm.
someone to look at a runner and be like, well, you run 30 to 35 miles a week. That's too much. Back it down, all these different things. When in reality, there's someone else out there running 70 miles a week and they're
Yeah.
perfectly fine. So it's just a matter of kind of
Funny.
digging a little deeper, I think.
Yeah, like I was doing 100, I think 100 miles, and one week you did 120. And I was like, how am I getting injured and you're doing this? Like, that's ridiculous. And I was even, before I got injured, I was doing more elliptical stuff and more cross training than I ever have. And they kind of thought maybe it was just a constant force elliptical, kind of like constantly pushing down, kind of got it aggravated. But yeah, it's frustrating when you try doing like the right thing of not running all the time, and then it gets injured, and it's like, oh, what is right, what is wrong type thing.
Now, I've noticed a lot of athletes that do cross country in the fall also do track and field in the spring that way. Is that the case for you as well?
Yeah, all the do. So for track, I mainly would do the mile. That's kind of like my sweet spot to me, and probably the race I mostly enjoy compared to like the 5K, 6K, and like even 3K for indoor track. I'll do it, but I enjoy the mile the most and the 1500 just because I feel like it's a nice little race.
Done and over in what, like six,
Yeah.
7 minutes for you? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like my PR right now, I think is I always forget 1500, but like a 445, 442. So it's done pretty quick. Like I can just dial in for those minutes and then done. Where a 6K, I feel like I'm there forever. Just like finish it up. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, no, that's wicked fast. My goodness. If you're running that under 5 minutes, my gosh, I don't think I could hang with that right now.
Yeah,
No, that's
it's crazy because some girls run even like way faster than me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's it people are getting so much faster nowadays too, and it's just it's impressive. It's super impressive.
well, it's so interesting to me how, in some sports, it's like, okay, well, if you're playing a team in football and you put up like 42 points, odds are you're going to win the game unless you have absolutely no defense.
Yeah.
But with track and field and cross country, you always have to be faster than everyone else. And one year you might have really, really fast competition. And the next year your competition might be really, really slow, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, you could literally win the conference, league, division, whatever you want to call it, one year, and then the next year be in 10th place running the same exact times as you did last year. It's just, I don't think there's really many sports like that out there.
Yeah, year to year it changes really fast. There's kind of the consistent teams for our conference that we know will be good, but there's times where like people transfer or some teams just have a crazy good like top 5 for their cross country and they win and it's like, oh, I didn't even see y'all coming for that. So it's been very like interesting seeing year to year what kind of wins and what gets you to prelims or gets you to finals compared to like previous years. Because before it's like, oh, hit this time you're good, and then next year it's like, oh, you're not even close now to make it to finals. So that's been interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things I've noticed is that these sports are, as you mentioned, team-based in the sense that, cross country is usually top 5, top 6, track and field, your whole team is scored based on points at the end of the meet. But a lot of the times the competition feels very individual that way, right? Like you might not be running with a pack of your teammates in a cross country race. You might be the only one from your team in a track and field race.
Yeah.
How have you kind of gone about navigating that kind of like individual sport but team sport blend within cross country and track and field, if you will?
Yeah, so especially for cross country, I try my best to kind of like remind the girls that even though like we want to like do well PR and like beat each other, again, like in a race, if we see one another, come on, go together, group up, try to like, a lot of times last year, I would try to find one of my teammates all the time in races or even my friends from their teams and be like, hey, let's go. Like, let's like encouraging one another just to kind of like remind them and also remind the freshmen, like, hey, I want y'all to do well. I want everyone to do PR, but if you see someone, help them out. Like it's just hard again. Like you want to do well for yourself and be other people, but also being kind of like selfless and being like, hey, sometimes in a race you kind of have to sit back for a second and try helping your teammate kind of get back in the groove of things because it does get mentally kind of taxing when it's like, especially when it's super hot outside and you're miserable, kind of reminding them like, hey, you're okay. So especially with track too, having groups for workouts, I've been trying to like learn a lot of just like not focusing only on my time, but even when I finish my rep being like, hey girls, you got it, like you're doing awesome, and just bring up the energy as much as I can because that does so much for them and for me to feel like we're still a team, even though we get a line, we're like competing technically. So just reminding them constantly of that and reminding myself as well.
Yeah, it sounds like the culture and the environment piece is really, really essential to you.
Yeah, huge. And if you're not enjoying what you're around, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing type thing. And I've been very big this year, especially trying to like change kind of like our group culture more and more of just like, we're in this together. This is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. Like, even though we're here for like a sport and to run and be miserable at some point in this, like we're supposed to enjoy this. Like we do this for a reason, not just to like PR. Like we're supposed to have fun. That's been huge for me to like remind myself and others that because it does get kind of too serious at times.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And it sounds like that's probably something just based on your family history that you're going to kind of carry forward into maybe like a future coaching career or something like that. Very much like a team emphasis, a family emphasis, if you will, where everyone gets along, everyone's kind of supporting the same goals, the same mission, and so on that way, and striving to make one another better instead of just trying to run the race for themselves. It's also running the race for the people in the uniform with you.
Yeah, because they can even make like, if a freshman knows like, oh, they're there for me, I want them to like, I want to be up there with them. They feel so much more like connected to you if you're encouraging them instead of being like, oh no, y'all need to be back there or whatever. It's like, no, we're a team. I don't care who beats me. I don't care who's whatever. Just finish the race. I want to also do well because I've seen a lot the past few years and even in high school that the negative attitude really does like eat at a team. Like it just demolishes it. Like it doesn't. No, you don't run well when you're anxious or run well when you're like freaking out. Like I know when I'm lining up and I'm crying, I'm not having a good race because I'm taking it way too seriously.
Does that happen?
It has happened in the past, especially for like larger meets where I had to like for my senior year of high school, we were supposed to go to like state potentially if everyone ran perfect, and I was just so in my head about it because I was so anxious. I was like, oh, I had to hit this spot. If I'm not here, then this person won't be here. Then this person won't make this time, like or this place. So it gets pretty anxious at times. But I've been really learning how to like not again take it too seriously.
Yeah. What's your best thing that you found, at least for yourself, to go about help managing that, right? Like some people talk about journaling or breath work or sound baths, all these different things that way. Have you found anything that really works well for you?
For me, it's like I love hands down driving. I'll kind of talk to myself about my race and kind of what my plan is, and kind of also reminding myself like, hey, you're gonna be racing tomorrow. This is serious. This is important, but it's also fun, and also making sure that I'm kind of talking to people around me even at practice, like not talking about it in like a nervous way, but more so like, oh, this is fun. I'm excited for tomorrow. So I've been really trying to change that attitude with that, and also even just like kind of typing my phone like, this is the plan for tomorrow. This is what you're gonna run. This is my goal. It doesn't happen. It's okay. And just kind of also just kind of sitting in my thoughts whenever I'm doing like boots the night before or doing something like ice bath the night before, just turning off everything and just thinking to myself what I'm doing tomorrow and kind of just thinking about the course and how I want it to go and how I don't want it to end up.
Yeah, it sounds like the power of self-talk and maybe some like visualization techniques that way are really key for you. And it's
Sure.
interesting because I feel like those things come up quite a bit, and I think we forget how powerful they are for
Yeah.
athletes, right? Like there has been studies done in like the weight room side of things where they kind of like essentially blindfold an athlete so that they can't tell how much weight is on a bar. And then they have
Oh,
lift over and over again, and they lift drastically more when they don't know how much they're actually lifting, right? They can't see it, so they can't perceive it in any way other than lifting it up. And they're able to lift a lot more. So it's like sometimes a lot of these barriers and obstacles that get put in our path are really self-imposed and
yeah.
self-created. And it's like, well, if you created it, you can also be the one to destroy that thing.
Mhm.
I think one of the things, there's a book I read years ago called Endure. One of the things that I think people forget about in these endurance sports, I don't care if it's track and field, cross country, if you're a freaking cyclist, whatever you are, it's just as mental as it is physical. I think a lot of times people think, oh my gosh, like just go run more, or just go bike more, or just go do more. And more is not always the answer, right? I've had a number of people come back to me with this saying lately that, more is not better, better is better. And at the end of the day, sometimes you get more out of kind of the mental side and the psychological side of the sport than you do just adding more to the physical plate, if you will.
Mhm.
Quick break, because if you're a rehab professional sick of burnout, this could be your answer. Engaged Movement's blended practice model is a proven system built by Dr. Ray Gorman, a PT who walked away from the 55-hour-a-week grind and built a blended practice model that doubled his income while working less than 25 hours a week, and he didn't have to rely on the traditional way of selling sessions to do so. It's all about blending remote and in-person services, stacking monthly recurring revenue, and building a business that finally supports your life, not the other way around. This model isn't just theory. Real providers, including myself, are creating lives of freedom and flexibility without being tied to their schedule. And as a listener, you get free access to the complete training. DM my name, Dan, to @RayGormanDPT on Instagram and receive your free breakdown on the model.
Yeah, I've been for sure. Also, when I'm like running my teammates recently, like just kind of reinstating like, let's be miserable now in this workout, so in the races we are comfortable. Like let's get this hard part done, so when we get to races, we're not like, oh my gosh, I can't run this. Because there's times when we're doing a fartlek, which is just switching between like an easy pace and a harder pace for a certain amount of time, that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not fun. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, no, what? I have to do this. This is a part of the training. This is a part of the mental side of it, of not being comfortable and having to learn how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. So that's been huge for me to kind of figure that out and not be mentally like quote unquote weak and having to just do things I don't want to do because you're not always gonna be like ready to do those things or feel good doing those things.
It's so funny you use that specific example, because I think the other thing I hear from a lot of people that aren't familiar with the running world is they think, oh, they just go and they run. And it's like, no, there's interval workouts. There's all these different crazy kind of things that y'all do that way to help prep and plan that way. Walk me through kind of what your own training has looked like over the years and how your training approach for running has kind of evolved that way.
So my freshman year of high school, I would just do whatever the coach told me to do and just do I had a new coach my junior year of high school, so it kind of switched. But I did a lot of just repeats and runs. I would go always I felt like too hard on my easy runs. And then when I got into my senior year of high school, I started doing just a ton of fartlek and I guess you'd say tempos where you go hard for a certain amount of time, but it's like you're supposed to be comfortable, but not too comfortable. You're supposed to be still pushing it. So those workouts have helped a lot with me getting used to paces and used to having my heart rate up and being like, okay, I feel myself working, but I'm not overworking. And especially recently, like this summer and the past 2 summers, I've done a lot of critical velocity work with my dad, which is just hard for me because he finds it really well. But we would do for example, 5 1Ks with 90-second jogging between, and the on's supposed to be pushing it, but not dying. Your heart rate's supposed to be a threshold pace. So that's helped a lot with just being pushing it and again not dying. So I think that workout, that progression of my workouts being more like running and you run easy and not too easy, but easy enough where you're not going crazy lactic or not breathing hard or anything, and also making sure to do when workout days come, doing the workout correctly, doing it how it's told to be, and not pushing it even though there's times I can push it, but not doing that because it's just changing the whole workout. So learning that has been a process.
Absolutely. It's come up recently on podcasts, and I gotta ask, do you incorporate anything in relation to breathing or breath work or kind of patterns with your breathing when you run that way, or is that something that you just kind of leave on autopilot and don't think about?
On autopilot, but I do try my best to not. I had a pattern of breathing really quiet because I didn't want to be loud in front, next to my teammates. So I was running with one of my family friends' moms, and she was like, if you need to breathe like a train, breathe like a train. I want you to breathe so you're getting oxygen, so you're having oxygen to your muscles. I don't care if you're loud next to me, I need you to breathe. And so I started just when I'm running, if I need to take a deep breath or I need to breathe a little louder towards the end of the race, it's okay to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you're in freaking San Antonio, I can imagine summertime, 110 degrees, sunny, you're out there in a run. It's you gotta breathe a little bit because you're freaking working in that.
It's been really bad recently with the heat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, I know we've talked before about kind of your background in exercise science that way. What has studying exercise science done for you on the running side? What kind of things have you learned, applied, so on that way?
A lot of it I've learned, I took motor development last year, and I'm just learning how the body works and how kind of when you're growing up, you naturally already know how to do certain things, just actually applying it. Babies know how to swim, the motion of swimming, but when you throw in water, they kind of can mimic it a little bit at a really young age. So learning just kind of that kind of stuff of even just he would go over recovery and even recently needling, and I was like, oh, I do needling a lot. I get needled a lot, and then explain the process of how it's helping me and how it's kind of taking those stiffness out of my muscles and all that stuff. So it's been very interesting running and also being kinese major and learning in my class is just different. Even my nutrition classes, learning more about nutrition and learning more about what certain things do for our body and protein fixing muscles and all that stuff, just learning more in depth about that and knowing that aspect of it. Because I do like the science aspect of it, just how the body's repairing itself and how I need certain foods to do that. And if I don't have it, it's not going to repair well.
No, I think that's such a great point. And it's one of those things that I feel like I say this a lot, and it's a huge shout out to my guy, Rob Wilson, and the work that he did putting together his book called The Check Engine Light. It's athletes are never really taught, people are never really taught what their own kind of dashboard looks like, if you will. They're not really sure when the check engine light comes on, what that sign actually is, what it means, what to do about it. And I think a lot of the times, actually majoring in something along the exercise science, human performance, that kind of world really gets you to kind of learn and become in tune with those things. It's just a matter of how do we kind of give people access to that at maybe a younger age, because it's like the amount of times I've had athletes look at me and be like, well, I wish I knew this like friggin' 5 years ago. It'd make all the difference in the world, you know?
Wake up like eating before I ran. Like I never did that in high school. I never even thought about it because I was like, I don't want anything in my stomach when I'm running. And I've seen recently like more and more like, oh, if I don't have fuel for my body, I'm not gonna run well because I have nothing to work off of. Like I don't have any carbs, I don't have anything to help me with energy when I'm running. So I've been trying recently to start doing that again because it's so helpful when I'm running instead of having, because a lot of girls end up either not eating. And we had actually one girl last year where she like fainted after a long run, and we're all like, what happened? Like, why did you faint, or how did you faint? And she's like, oh, I haven't been eating. And I'm like, well, your body needs fuel. So that's been huge to me, like learning that. And like, if I feel sluggish, it's like, I need fuel or I'm not going to feel well. Like, that's just how it is.
Thing about talking back with Maddie last fall, she was telling me when she moved to Miami, she started doing a lot more salt that way, which obviously is different from one individual to the next. But I can certainly see how salt, electrolyte type stuff that way, especially if you're in a hot, humid environment, would be essential.
Yeah, especially just, I always tell the girls on my team, I'm like, eat, eat, eat. Like, there's no point to not eat or be like, oh, I shouldn't eat this because this. It's like, we burn so many calories that we need to get as much fuel as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, walk me through, obviously there's like clean, lean, healthy ways to do that, but sometimes you just got to freaking send it, right? I was talking earlier about how I tend to bring the big back energy to things. So like last night, we go out to San Antonio, get us a little bit of unlimited barbecue down on Riverwalk. Highly recommend County Line if anyone's in San Antonio. We just live it up and we just freaking send it, and we have us a little ice cream, that sort of thing afterwards. Like, what kind of things do you like to do and like enjoy that way outside of just like healthy food for athletes that way, if you will?
Yeah, so especially like later days, like when I'm having a late night, sometimes you have to do like a drive-through type thing. Especially even like last night, I got Wingstop because I really wanted Wingstop, and that's one thing I've been kind of like learning, is that it's okay to have those days where you indulge or have a good day of just eating because it's worth it all. But especially like it's hard being in college and not always having time to eat and have like food to go or having groceries in your fridge. So I've been really big on just like, luckily we have athletic facility where we have food, and they'll have like oatmeal packets. So before I left home, I just grabbed an oatmeal packet and ate that. Like just kind of learning how to just go through the groove of just, if I see something, I'll eat it, even if I'm completely enjoying it. But yeah, for sure, if there's a group thing and they're like, oh, do y'all want to go get this? I'm like, yep, we can all get that. That sounds good.
Yeah, no, sometimes you just got to freaking send it. And I think that's something a lot of athletes forget too, is they need to enjoy what they're doing that way.
Yeah.
That goes for everything, including what you're eating that way. So, it's perfectly okay to have a few send it sessions that way.
Yeah. And especially with teammates, like just like having one of those days where it's like, you know what, guys, do y'all want to get this? And it's like, yeah, let's all sit down and eat at a restaurant and just hang out. Like it's a fun bonding experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Now, did you ever do anything outside of running growing up? Did you ever play like some tennis, some soccer, some softball? I don't know, freaking pickleball, like any other sporting background besides running? Or
So I actually played football in middle school, like with the boys. Yeah, it was really fun. I actually I was doing like A team and B team. I was starting on B team for defense and offense. I was a receiver and safety. And I was like, luckily at that time, even though I'm 5 foot, like a lot of the guys weren't crazy much taller than me, especially in 7th grade. In 8th grade, I got a little bit more dicey. I got concussed my 8th grade year because
oh my goodness.
I tried going, I had the ball and I was running it, and I just thought I can go helmet to helmet and went helmet to helmet and I got concussed. So, but it was really fun. I had like my own like play. It was a switch play where the running back would run this way. I'd run the other way behind the quarterback, and I'd usually get the ball and run up. So it was a fun little switch play where I was able to kind of like have my moment of being in a team. It was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, that's awesome. It's funny because I don't meet many female athletes that tell me they have a background in football, but it sounds like that was such a unique experience for you and something that really just was enjoyable, fired you up, all that sort of thing.
Oh, for sure. And just like being like welcomed and accepted with the guys was really fun because I was like, if we're doing tackling sessions, I'm getting tackled just the same. It's not this like, oh, be careful with her. Like I was constantly treated just one of them. I wasn't treated like differently in that matter. So it was really fun being able to like, hey, you're safety and you're gonna do this. And if you get hit, you get hit. And there was times I did get hit pretty hard and I was like, oh, sick. Or I had my last practice, I never got my hair pulled, and one of my teammates accidentally grabbed my whole ponytail and just yanked me back. And I was like, you know what? I deserve that. Like, I can't, I might get treated just like a girl. So it was fun being just like thrown out there, even though I didn't understand football as much as I wish I did, like I do now. And I look back and I'm like, dang, I really is the wrong formation constantly for defense. Like, I was not aware of what's going on. So it was really fun.
Do you still watch football now?
Yeah, my boyfriend's family is all Lions fans, so I've been kind of jumping on that of being a Lions fan. Yeah. And I love watching it. It's so fun having like Friday night, Saturday night, like football nights at his place and just having a good time buying wings and everything and just hanging out. So it's been really fun watching that, especially the past 2 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm always here for the college football game days, little pro football, all that sort of thing. Always a good time that way. And obviously, y'all got the Alamo down in San Antonio. Freaking love going to stuff there. It's freaking epic that way. If you haven't been, you really need to go.
As a kid, my mom would always have like the the suite tickets from her boss. So it'd always be in like the upper, like super nice suites with like catering. And I never realized as a kid how like sweet that was. And I look back at videos and I was like, dang, I had perfect view, free food. Like it was, I love that one.
I know we talked a little bit before about how your exercise science education has played into kind of your role in running that way. One of the things that I feel like is also missed in relation to that running carryover, if you will, not just the nutrition piece, but also the training piece in the weight room. I think a lot of the times runners are scared to do too much strength work and different things that way. And I think that's something that can really change your running performance that way. What's your typical strength work look like for you as a runner?
So I've been kind of like through and through with it, just especially with like my foot injury. I wasn't able to do as much, but a lot of times I do more so just mobility and like band work more so. And if I do weights, it's squats, RDL. Like I'm not trying to max it out. It's just high rep, good weight. And as well, just making sure I'm working like all parts of the body, not just my legs, making sure I'm like my core is strong, my arms are strong, just so I get into races, I'm not falling over myself like mid race because my core is weak. So just kind of incorporating a good core session with it, good amount of legs, but also not tearing my legs apart. So that when I get to a workout, I'm not falling apart. And as well, just making sure I'm not trying to max out anything. Like I'm never trying to make sure I'm like lifting crazy weights and exerting myself. It's always high reps, lower weight, and just making sure I'm like feeling good doing it and not feeling anything straining or pulling.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's one of those things where at the end of the day, you're like, look, I just want to run. So I'm going to be a runner first. And then whatever I do in the weight room is going to support that goal of running, period. Simple as that.
Every little thing that you can. Like I've been doing a lot of even exercises where I'm having to do one leg RDL but with a band under my big toe. So I'm forcing myself to still stay on my inner foot and not letting just my feet just kind of go to my right side and just letting everything kind of fall apart with my um form and making sure I'm doing band work and just strengthening all those like little muscles in your hip and ankles. So when you're running, you're not running funky as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's one of those things, it's like, it's difficult to change running form and running mechanics. It's very much a game of one piece at a time. And I think a lot of times people think mechanical, when in reality, I think of it more as like a neurophysiological construct, right? It's like, I might not be able to change the running form that you've used for 20 years in 2 weeks, but I can certainly impact the tone of the muscles that are stabilizing your foot or doing different things, and that will have a carryover into running that way. So I think knowing kind of what your goal is, what your intentions are, and what you can and cannot fix or control or change or whatever you want to call it that way, is super essential in that space.
Yeah, especially with like your ankles, like because our spikes are don't really have much support on your ankles at all. And if you have weak ankles, your legs are just collapsing when you're running, and you're using other muscles you're not supposed to be doing when you're running. So when you finish, you're like, oh, this really hurts, and it's because I was leaning on one side more than the other, or so and so.
Absolutely. Jada, what's next for you? What is the future bringing? How's the season shaping up? Kind of walk me through the future here.
So right now our team's looking really good. We have a lot of new freshmen in the team, a lot of new energy with the new coach and everything. It's been very exciting for this new season. I feel like we're for sure going to do a lot better than we have in previous years. And even the energy is just up. It's been just fun. Like I bring popsicles every workout day. So it's been fun just like celebrating after a workout, like, hey, you got one, just having a good time with that. I'm graduating in about a year and I don't have a set plan yet of what I want to do work wise. I've been looking into PT, possibly OT, and there's also a program at UT Health that I can get an X-ray, MRI, and CT certification 2 years. So I'm kind of looking into that because I like that aspect of stuff. I think it's pretty neat seeing how you can see all the bones and everything in people. I think it's neat how it's used also. So I'm looking into that. But yeah, it's been for sure dirty, like planning, kind of thinking like, is this the best route? Is this a good route? And like my uncle's in PT. So kind of seeing him and see his day to day, kind of like, does he enjoy it? Is this a good path for me? So, yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's awesome. And I always love kind of hearing about where people are heading in the future and kind of diving into how we got here that way. Because, as we've talked before, athletes are far more than just kind of what we see them doing from a performance standpoint. There's a lot more underneath the water that way that makes up the iceberg, if you will, that way. Is there anything we missed or anything else you wanted to discuss today, Jada?
Unfortunately. But yeah.
You're like, this is great. This is great.
This is sick. I was sitting there doing this. This is sick.
No, absolutely. Jada, for people who want to find out more about you, where can they find you at online and that sort of thing?
So I only really use Instagram, and it's just Jada.Malesich, and that's it. It's just my first and last name with a dot in the middle. So yeah.
Or Instagram only, really?
Yeah.
I would have picked you as a TikTok type.
No.
No, not happening.
I can't do it. The thought of putting my tripod up and recording, I get Disney time for that.
Not happening. That's awesome. Well, we'll link to the Instagram handle in the description below. That way, if you didn't quite catch it, you can just click there and see everything Jada is up to. Jada, this is awesome. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for everything.